As always, I am your host, Jamie J Dub. With me, as always, is the person that, like, I don't know, does Instagram stuff, Dan Kelly. Dan, you want to tell everybody where they can find you when you're owning, not owning, manipulating Instagram?
Well, yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. So go check it out. Give me a follow. I'm only a few followers away from hitting 800, so hopefully I'll be able to hit that in the next, in the next week or two. So come give me a follow and give me some likes on some stuff, and let me know what you want to see next. And then there's this guy underneath me.
Oh, the Ric Flair of comics
Woo!
himself in the comic library with the comic mind of the future, Uncle Gary. Tell them where they can find you.
Might be the mind of the past more than the future. You can find me at Comic Logic. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. And if you're in the Northern Virginia area, we'd love to see you. You can see me there every Wednesday, get my weekly fix of comics injected in my bloodstream. So we'd love to have yep, get it right there. Make them veins bulge with 4-color ink. Woo-hoo! So come see us. Also on we do our Ye Grumpy Old Nerd show. We do from Comic Logic. We do a live show every Thursday night. First 3 Thursdays of every month. The first one's our preview show, and the second, third Thursday is our regular Ye Grumpy Old Nerd show. We just did one tonight before I did this, so you can see us next week if you want. And also, all of us are part of the Comic Character of the Day site founded by our good buddy Archduke Kevy that kind of bound us all together because we were on that site together. I do the covers of the day under the name Opie Taylor. Dan always puts a question of the day, a panel of the day, and Jamie is also always monitoring that site to make sure we're doing things correctly. So he's always in and out of the site. So speaking of Jamie, our creator, our founder, the man that laid the foundation for this wonderful channel that we are on, the Codex Station, wouldn't even be here without that man up there, J-Dub.
Oh, me. No, but real fast, guys, I do want to say happy birthday to Sale and his wife.
Yep.
Just quick shout out to him. And if you guys ever want to find out where he's at, he is at Sales Comic Corner on YouTube and the Slab Guy 77 on Instagram as well. So go check him out. He's got some great stuff out there, great unboxings and slabs for about everybody. But now let's get back to business, guys. Real fast. You guys know where to find us. Check out the CodexStation.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything Codex. Get some merch, meet the team. Let us know what you like, don't like, and find all of our links so you don't miss out on any of the content that we are putting out for you. And you can also find us on all the socials by just typing in the Codex Station, and that's where you're gonna find us. Whew! I did that in a breath again. I'm getting back.
You're getting it. You're getting your stamina.
But no, we were actually talking. I figured this would be good for the pre-show, since we're on the subject. But did you guys see that they canceled Superman and Lois?
Yeah, I mentioned that in the pre-show that we did on Saturday. I was like, they announced that it's going to be the last season of Superman and Lois. It's going to be the last season of Letterkenny. And I saw both headlines like right as I opened up my computer to log on to do the show. And I was like, man, that's such a bummer.
Yeah.
I mean, Letterkenny is going into season 12, so it was kind of inevitable.
Yeah. The one thing I do remember was actually, like, it was right. I'm trying to think. Like, I remember seeing the promo for Arrow and thinking, I'm going to watch this. But then I was, like, looking at it. I'm like, this guy looks nothing like Oliver Queen.
Yeah.
What is going on here? Then I watched it, and I was like, this is great. Like, but it was great to have that media of DC that wasn't movies, like, that just kind of bled one after another. And it just felt amazing to me that it was basically a whole station based around DC Comics before, DC Universe was out. For me, at least, like it was Arrow, Flash, Supergirl.
Legends.
Because Supergirl was originally CBS.
Right?
Yeah.
And then one season, and then they brought it over to CW when CBS canceled it.
Yeah, and it made more sense. I mean, they tried to do so much, even like the Crisis on Infinite Earths storyline, Earth X, like so many crossovers, and it was just cool to actually have that ability to see that you probably wouldn't be able to get with like the movies. So it's sad for me because I started off in the beginning. But
I mean, I am too. I thought of all the shows from start to finish, I probably enjoyed Superman and Lois like as a whole more than any of the other shows, because it didn't have that like CW angsty drama that some of the other ones had. I was like, this is well written, it's well acted. Like, obviously he's not going to be Superman the whole time because it is a TV show budget, but the suit looks good, much better than it looked like when he was first on Supergirl and had those shoulder pad things. Like,
Yeah.
Like it's just really well done. And when it does have the special effects stuff when he's Superman, like, it looks really good. So I'm disappointed it's ending, but the writing was on the wall with it too.
Yeah, but I mean, now that we were talking about this yesterday on the podcast, and with James Gunn now being like the Kevin Feige of DC with the DCU, like seeing what's slated out, I'm ready. Like, I feel like this is gonna be the revamp it actually needs. Finally, so I don't know. I'm more excited for that than anything else. Like, I know when we were talking about it, I was talking about like. You were in the chat for that, Dan, like how Marvel is just pumping out stuff. Like,
and they're slowing down on it too now that I think they've kind of seen, and I think the head of Disney coming back has kind of been like, all right, let's pump the brakes on this. You don't need to put something out every month. Like, how about some quality too? Because like, Blade's on its like 5th writer director now. Like, they're talking about Wonder Man might be canceled.
Right when they announced it.
I mean, Agatha House of Harkness, like, yeah, that would have been cool if it would have come out right after WandaVision, but there's been so much time since then. Like, who gives a crap now?
Yeah. But it was more of like looking at, like, I didn't realize Marvel's was going to be out until I just read about it last week, and people were like giving their reviews on it. And I was like, oh, that's still coming out? When does it come out? And I was like, oh, today.
I have a buddy that saw it, and he says the post-credit scene's very interesting. So,
yeah, I heard the post-credit scene's very surprising.
Yeah, so I don't know anything about it. I just know he said it was very interesting.
Yeah, I'll watch it when it comes out on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Either that, or we're gonna go see it tomorrow. I haven't decided.
I was too disappointed I was too disappointed in the first one to want to spend money on the second one, because I was super excited when the first one came out, and like I used to, like, oh well, whatever days I would, PTO days at work, like, all right, I'm going to take it off so I can like go see this movie the day it comes out because I got to use the days for something. And I like took the day off and went to the theater. I was like, oh, I bought the popcorn bucket and the cup, and I was like, oh, I'm all in for it. And I was sitting there watching, and I walked out. I was like, ugh.
I should have went to work.
Pretty much. I was like, it's not the worst Marvel movie, but it's a lot closer to the bottom than it is the top.
Right. But no, I mean, it was just like, what I was trying to get to was like, DC had a whole station to itself, and now I don't know. I feel like I need that back. So hopefully with James Gunn, they do that.
Yeah, because they're canceling everything too. Like Titans is gone, Doom Patrol's gone, and those were both.
No, Doom Patrol just came out with its new season.
No, this is the end of it. Like that was the second part of, what is it, season 4?
Yeah, but technically it's still going, because like I looked and I was like, Doom Patrol's still on? What?
No, they had that last episode.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those. I haven't seen the Titans or the Doom Patrol.
They're both fantastic.
Yeah, I thought Titans was really good.
Yeah.
So, but are you guys about ready to get into this comic character?
Let's do it.
All right. So we will see everybody in about a minute. And I'm not going to do no stupid groovy bass tones because that just annoys me. Literally, Tim's like, so we'll get started, and Tim usually will control everything when he's on. And I was like, yeah, we're going to start it. And I'm not going to pick, or I'm like, not your groovy bass tone. I just picked a random one real quick. Just jumped right into it. So we'll see y'all in about a minute.
Groovy bass line.
What is going on, everybody? Thank you again for joining us for another comic character of the week. As always, I am your host, Jamie, aka J-Dub. With me is the owner of Instagram, does things on Instagram, touches Instagram, paints on Instagram, sings on Instagram, and pretty much can do things on Instagram. Dan Kelly, where can they find you?
I am the living embodiment of Instagram. And you can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. So come check it out. Give me a follow. I'm really close to hit 800. So come help me reach that goal within the next week or two. And then keep going forward. Come give me some likes on some art and let me know what kind of stuff you want to see next. And then this guy below me has got way more going on. And he's going to tell you about it right now.
Ooh, I'm a proud co-owner of Comic Logic. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Please come by and see us. You can catch me every Wednesday, get my weekly fix of comics. We'll do this arm. Gives you muscles, give you veins, get that 4-color ink in there. That's right, baby. So come get your weekly fix. We would love to see you. We also do from Comic Logic a live Facebook show every the first 3 Thursdays of every month. We do our preview show the first Thursday, second, third Thursday. We do our Ye Grumpier Old Nerd show. We would love to have you go, have you see it, comment. These fellas up here both have been on the show and commented on our shenanigans. Also, we are all 3 part of the Comic Character of the Day site. That was founded by our good buddy and also a Codex team member here, Archduke Kevy. And that's how we all pretty much are acquainted. And on that site, we post nothing but comic goodness. I do the cover of the day under the name Opie Taylor. Dan right there does he does our random panel of the day or question of the day. And Jamie is always watching the site to make sure that we are on track. He's got eyes on us to make sure the train does not get derailed. And besides being an excellent engineer, he is also a master builder because he built this station and laid the cornerstone for what you're watching now, the founder of Codex, Mr. J-Dub.
Thank you for that. I love when you give me the intro. It gets me hyped up just like a pregame. But yeah, before we get into the business, I just want to throw a shout out to Sal and his wife. Happy birthday to both of you. I know it's a couple different days apart, but again, happy birthday. And if you want to find him, you can find him over at Sal's Comic Corner on YouTube and the Slab Guy 77 on Instagram for all your slab goodness. He's got one out there for everybody and he does great unboxing videos. So you guys should go check that out. But you know what you should check out when you guys got some free time after the show today? Check out the CodexStation.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything Codex. Get the merch, meet the team, let us know what you like, don't like, and find all of our socials so that way you don't miss out on any of the content that we are putting out for you, which is a lot. So don't miss out. So there's no excuses. You can find us. I promise. And lastly, we are on other socials, and all you have to do is type in the Codex Station, and that's where you will find us.
J-Dub, can I give a shout out too, real quick? So the day after tomorrow is November 11th, and that is Veterans Day. So I want to say to all our veterans out there, thank you from my heart, and I appreciate everything y'all have done to make sure that we can live and thrive in this great country, and we couldn't have done it without your sacrifice and with what you've given up. And that this goes to all our veterans all the way back to the inception of this country. So you guys are the reason that we can enjoy this lifestyle that we do. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice, and you are respected and you are loved by us. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes, that was well put, Uncle Gary. So thank you for that. All right, but let's get into some comic character of the week, shall we? And this week is who, Dan, and what's their origin?
Plastic Man, the first super stretchy character we've done on here. So his first appearance was in August 1941 in Police Comics #1, created by writer and artist Jack Cole. And do you know who else had their first appearance in that book, Police Comics #1? I'm sure Uncle Gary does.
kind of a name that's kind of like an apparition, right?
Three somewhat well-known DC characters that had their first appearance in that book as well.
I don't like this anymore. I think they were quizzing me.
It would be Human Bomb, Firebrand, and Phantom Lady.
I know Human Bomb. That's the one.
So his origin is he was his name is Eel O'Brien. He was a safecracker that was part of a burglary ring. And when they were pulling a job one night at a place called Crawford Chemical Works, with him and his 3 fellow gang members, they were surprised by the night watchman. When they were trying to make their escape, Eel was shot and he fell into this vat of chemicals. And he was, disoriented. He crawled out of it and he stumbled outside to the street, found that his gang had left him behind, assuming that he was dead. So he wandered around and he passed out at the base of a mountain near the city. And he ended up waking up the next day and he found he was being cared for by this monk in this mountain retreat. And thanks to the kindness of the monk that he showed him, and then when the police came looking for him and the monk, said, no, he's not here. And then realizing how his gang had abandoned him, he decided to give up crime and become a hero. So he found he had these stretching powers from the chemicals. So he used that to disguise his face to be Plastic Man, but he kept up his life as Eel O'Brien so that he could use it to spy on the criminal underworld and gain info on them to then use against them. And as far as his powers go, it's in the name. It's Plastic Man. So he has complete control over his molecular structure, and he can stretch his body and alter his body however he wants. He's impervious to physical harm. He's impervious to telepathic attacks. He's able to regenerate missing or damaged pieces of himself. He is essentially immortal. And, Batman has stated, multiple times, and other characters have, that, he is potentially one of the most powerful characters in the DC universe.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to get into our likes and dislikes on this character, because I kind of do have a lot to say about that. A lot of the aspects that are from the beginning of the origin to now. But yeah, before we get into what we like about this character, we want to talk about what we like about our sponsor real fast, and that is W Energy. Guys, you guys go check out W Energy at w.gg, and if you use the keyword code -X at checkout, you'll save yourself 10%. And guys, we can tell you all here from the Kodak Station that we've all tried it. We all love it. It is the best form of energy drink we've had and is the best one on the market. No jitterness, no bad aftertaste, nothing like the Red Bulls or Monsters that you have. And it gets us through these episodes and everything else we do when we're not doing this. So guys, go check them out. And to move on to what we like about the character, Uncle Gary, why don't you start us off?
Well, Plastic Man was a unique character because when he was created, he was the second stretchable character. The first one, gosh, I'm blanking on his name right now, but it was I think a one-shot appearance, didn't go anywhere. So Plastic Man was the first stretchable hero to be used, ongoing, and he was also the first hero to be used with greatly comedic stories. So Cole, that created him, had a different vision from anybody else. And what I think the thing that makes him unique is his humor. And where I know nowadays we have plenty of heroes that crack wise. Spider-Man was always a quipster, and then Deadpool has taken it to another level. Now, truth be told, I'm not a huge Deadpool fan, and the quips of him, it's okay, but with Deadpool has some rather serious powers. I think quips like that work better with the power set that's kind of goofy, kind of funny. It can be as malleable as he wants. So Plastic Man's manic behavior is something I really enjoy, and I like the stories that delve into things where there are times where it gets deeper, and when he gets a little bit serious and a little bit pissed off, that's when I really like it, because you see a different angle of him. But I like him being on the surface, being the goofball that he is, and manic and nutso. But then, the times that they do mine that character for some drama, it's more poignant because you don't see it or expect it that often.
No, yeah, definitely. Dan, what about you?
Yeah, I'll kind of go along the same lines. I mean, he's a human cartoon,
Yes, excellent.
He, like you said, there are other characters now that, like you said, quip and joke around and stuff, but no one can do it to the extent that he has, just because of the power base he has. He can make himself the joke, but he's, so I like him when he's a comic relief, but yet he's still so ultra powerful. He's like the guy that they can kind of bring in to take care of stuff that nobody else can take care of. And you're right, I do like when they have some of the more serious stuff with him, where they don't make him like an overly dramatic character. He's not, they're not turning him into Batman or anything.
Right.
But you do see that there is somewhat of a serious side on him. And with me, I like it when it comes up when it has to deal with his son, because you're seeing him like he's always had this goofball life where he was a criminal, and then he decided to be a good guy, and he kind of lived this carefree life. But then when he had the son and he decided to like step up and actually be a father, that's when you see, all right, he's still goofy and he's still fun, but oh yeah, I got to raise this kid too, so I still have to teach him right, and it's a super powered kid with the same powers as him too. So I like seeing that interaction between the two of them.
Yeah. Well, for me, I kind of agree with you both on that aspect. I mean, I love the fact when you see that different side of him, rather than being this like quirky kind of character that's trying to hit on Wonder Woman. But I love when they utilize him as powerful, like his shape-shifting ability, his ability to, he takes it to a new standard when it comes to the elongated superhero. And I'll get more into that with kind of like the badass moments, but that's where I like him most, when they actually show off the power of him. It's kind of like, to me, like the whole Firestorm episode we did, where he's just in the background. He's not really like up front, and that's where they need him, because he is a powerhouse. He is the person you want to call when it starts hitting the fan. And it just, when they put him up there on that pedestal, it's amazing. It bleeds that character throughout. But yeah, but with the quirkiness, I do like it. I like that he's the character that brings that every time.
Well, he's also like the other stretchy character you think about. There's Elongated Man, there's Mr. Fantastic. They really just use their powers to stretch, or like, I'll like wrap myself around someone or that, like, but they really just use their powers for that. Whereas Plastic Man is like, yeah, I do that, but like Gary has in the figure there, but I can also turn my fist into a hammer. I can like turn myself into a bulldozer. Like the way they have him utilize his powers is so much more advanced than anyone else that has that similar type of power set.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, it definitely, to me, that is the character that I want on my team if I'm picking a roster out.
It's interesting how the personalities are so different between the other guys you mentioned. Reed Richards, genius. Mm-hmm. Ralph Dibny, detective. In many circles, he's considered, for a while there, or a long time, he was considered the second best detective in the DC universe after Batman. And then, of course, Plastic Man, his personality is just total madcap. So it's interesting that those three stretchable heroes have, such diverse personalities.
Yeah, they're unique in their own way. And you don't want someone that's like copy and paste.
Right.
When you're trying to make the character. So.
And we're talking about copy and paste, for anyone out there whose exposure to Elongated Man is from the Flash TV show, that is not how Elongated Man is in the comics. The way they did him in the Flash TV show is really more of a combination of him and Plastic Man than he is the way Elongated Man is in the books.
Yes.
Very true. Yep.
But let's get into some of these badass moments that I kind of brought up earlier. And to start that list, Dan, why don't you give us your top 3 badass moments?
All right, so for number 1, I'm gonna have to go with it's an alternate universe type book. It's Deceased Dead Planet issue. So when they're trying to fight against the anti-life equation, they have to go to this castle and do something. They send the mystic characters still around, Shadow Pact. So it's like Zatanna and Blue Devil and some of them. So they go to this castle and they see it and they're like, oh, there's this moat of blood that's around the castle. Like Detective Chimp's one of them. Is then as they're getting closer, like, I don't think that's blood. And then it comes alive and alive considering they're dead. And it's Plastic Man that is in this moat, and he just murders them in the most gruesome way, like Zatanna, Blue Devil. It's absolutely gruesome.
You always gotta do my boy dirty like that.
It's but it's terrifying when you see, exactly what he could do with his powers if he was just, like this zombie. And it's really, like I said, gruesome and terrifying, I think, are the best 2 adjectives I can describe it. Just read it, and it's nightmare fuel.
Mm-hmm.
The second one I have is from the JLA storyline, Trial by Fire, when Martian Manhunter, he gets over his fear of fire, but what that does is it unlocks this kind of hidden thing in him that was buried by his species, where he becomes this monster. And because he's so ultra powerful, he just essentially takes out the Justice League. Essentially, he's getting ready to take out the world. And Batman goes and convinces, gets Plastic Man. He's like, you're the only one that can stop him, which shows the level of power that Plastic Man has when he's the one that goes up against Martian Manhunter, because Manhunter's telepathy can't do anything against him. Whatever Martian Manhunter can physically change into, Plastic Man can change into. There's no physical attacks that he can do to Plastic Man that's really going to hurt him. So he ends up being the only one capable of stopping Martian Manhunter, who Martian Manhunter himself, you can go back and watch the episode we did on him. He's one of the most powerful DC characters, in the whole universe. Even Superman said, this guy's, more powerful than just about anyone. And Plastic Man's the one they brought in to stop him. And then the last one I have is from JLA issue 33, when they, Gary knows which one it is. When they sent some of the team undercover to try and capture this person impersonating Bruce Wayne, and they all kind of show up and they're wearing their tuxes and stuff. And then Big Barda, who is part of the team, then shows up in this tight, skimpy red gown, and they're like, oh, where's the rest of your dress? And she's like, what are you talking about? I thought you guys left this for me. And they go like, it was just in my room. I thought one of you sent it. And they're all like, we didn't send this. And then she looks down and she sees on the side that design like he has on his belt. And then the next panel, she's just choking and strangling the hell out of him because he had put himself in the shape of a dress and sent himself to her room so that she was wearing him. And it's a really funny panel and is totally in character for him.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go next. You already stole one of mine, which was him turning into basically a kaiju to fight Manhunter. That right there shows the importance of him. But I do have also Flashpoint Legion of Doom for one of the badass moments, and that is when he actually smuggled himself in from a smuggler for Heatwave, and he was inside the smuggler's body, and the panel literally shows the smuggler leaning over while he's talking to Heatwave, and you just see a little red coming out of his nose, and you think it's blood, but it's Plastic Man just working his way out.
Wow.
And the smuggler did not survive.
Yeah, and then the second one is from, well, like you were saying earlier, alternative universe, which is Injustice, and that is when he nearly killed the Flash, and when he tried to mummify him. So he broke down his body where he became little strands and went through his nose to suffocate him, and then wrapped himself around the Flash so he couldn't run or couldn't move or vibrate out of what he's doing and mummified him.
Mhm.
So those are my three. Uncle Gary, what do you got?
All right. Well, let's start with my replication is Dan's from Justice League 33. It's pretty badass if you are going to put yourself as a dress and have Big Barda wear you and not think that the ramifications are going to be bad. He did not give her. And who would have thought Big Barda would have a Me Too moment? Because that's a chick you don't mess with.
Yeah.
You know, of all the gals in the DC universe, you know, I don't think. I think
her husband's no slouch either.
No,
just the way you said it.
the Me Too moment. Yeah. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thunk it, right? So, only Plaz would do that. And Dan's right. She was pissed. She started ripping that dress off of her when she saw that band on it. So
it was such a great panel with though. Like you gotta go if you haven't seen it, you gotta go look up JLA 33. Yeah. Just when they tell her like we didn't send you a dress, and then the next panel you just see her look down at the side, and going down the side you see that belt design of hers and the rage that gets on her face.
All right, so Dan, I'm going to end up sending this next one. This is part of the Gail Simone miniseries to you. There's a page here where you see him with blood on his face and everything. I'm going to send it to you as a panel of the day.
Okay.
That you'll use. I didn't want to show you earlier, but he's his old gang that abandoned him. He has reverted himself back to human form where he's not using his powers. Evidently, he can do that a little bit. And so he's getting his ass kicked with a baseball bat. They're beating the shit out of him. And his old boss says to him, he's asking, he wants to know how the hell he survived, whatever. So as he's getting beat up, he says to his boss, hey, Sammy, can you do me a solid? And his boss says, yeah, what's that? He goes, I left some rubbers at your mom's house on the nightstand. Can I get those back? Your sister's in town. That to me is the greatest. I mean, he is getting his ass kicked, and his boss says, you always were a funny guy. Hold his leg, Dizzy. And they beat the shit out of him with the bats, right? And again, he's not using his powers now, so he's bleeding, he's hurting, but he talked that smack, took that pain. But yeah, let's say it again. I left some rubbers at your mom's house on the nightstand. Can I get those back? Your sister's in town. That to me, talking that smack, why you getting beat up with a baseball bat? Wow.
Yeah, that was a good miniseries.
Yeah, that is a great miniseries. Now the last one, and I do want to say y'all are right about the deceased with the moat, and that is horrific. And it's interesting with him. Before I get to my last one, it's interesting that when they have used him as Plastic Man gone wrong or his powers gone wrong, it is horrific. The moat was horrific. In the DC versus vampires, he was a terrible vampire. I mean, he was, one that was pretty much unstoppable. And then there was Robert Venditti did a Freedom Fighters miniseries.
Oh, that was so good.
So the Nazis win World War III. The shock troopers they used were plastic men. So they had replicated the powers. And so their unstoppable forces that they would send in on you were a bunch of plastic men. So that's pretty indicative of how fearsome the character is. So my last badass moment is just words, just a few words. Tower of Babel. All right. I assume we know that storyline. The JLA is taken down by all these measures that take out each of the members. And you find out that Batman has made these protocols to take down his fellow JLA members in case they go rogue. Ra's al Ghul has gotten into the Batcave and he has stolen these protocols. He wasn't looking for them expressly, but he found them and he has used them. And Plastic Man, was horrifically damaged by these protocols and taken out of action, just like all the rest of the JLA was. Well, when everything gets righted again and they beat Ra's and the team is back again, there's a vote to expel Batman, whether or not Batman will remain in the league. Wonder Woman's voted against him. Aquaman has voted against him. Kyle Rayner and Wally West have voted for him. Martian Manhunter's voted for him to stay. But the ones against him, they don't believe that's how a teammate should act. And they assume that Plaz will vote to keep Batman in the league because Batman is the one that has brought him into the league and has sponsored him. And so when they're asking, Wonder Woman says, asks for Plastic Man's opinion. Kyle says, "Come on, man, you brought him in. He brought you in." And Plaz says, yeah, he did. I owe him. I know that. Get him out of here. I think that's badass. I know that he did. Get him out of here. And turns us back. Plaz, it's down there. Turns us back. Get him out of here. So I just think that is, it makes it more poignant for me because, again, Plaz is a character we've talked about, is a goofball. He's madcap. He's manic. When he's pissed off and when he's dramatic and when he is angry, it just gives it a poignancy because that is not his nature. And so to me, the badass moment is when he votes to expel Batman from the league. And then there's one more vote left, and it's Superman. And Batman leaves before he gets the official count because, of course, he's Batman. He knows how everybody's going to vote. And he knows that they voted to expel him. So,
but he also didn't want Superman to have to. He didn't want Superman to have to do that too.
But he also knew Superman was going to do it.
Yeah,
he knew Clark was going to vote him out. But just a great storyline. And for anybody out there that has not read Tower of Babel,
so good.
Do yourself a favor. Mark Waid, Howard Porter on the art. Read that arc. That is one of the great. And how often has that been used? The protocols, where Batman has against his teammates since then. So, good stuff. All right, those are my 3 moments.
Well, side tangent real fast. I know Tower of Babel. I have not read Tower of Babel.
It's good. Worth reading, my friend.
So
you know what? That might be the where Sal did the Camelot 3000 and Tim's doing the Tim's doing.
Me and Uncle Gary are gonna probably have 2 to do together because we're gonna do the 12 and then we'll do Tower of Babel.
Oh, I'd love to. I mean, I can't wait for you to read the 12. But the JLA Tower of Babel, they've got a nice hardback edition that came out a few years ago of it. There's a trade that goes back further, but this hardback edition is probably still in print. This is a great book. This is a great book, as Dan can attest.
I think it was 4. It was 4 issues, so it's not like a super long one.
Yeah,
but it's fantastic.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on from that and go to our dislikes, critiques, and why this character sucks in some points. And I'll start this one off, especially for Plastic Man. And I really do hate the fact that Elongated Man gets more attention than Plastic Man. Out of all the Elastic characters that you have, I feel like you don't utilize them. You use Ralph, and to me it makes no sense. And you have a character that can literally shapeshift into anything, and one that just kind of uses himself just to reach and grab things from another room. The light isn't shined on Plastic Man the way it should be. He's always a bad character. He only comes in when people don't think of him, and then they're like, "Oh, he's going to be clutch for this moment." And to me, that's just it's not enough exposure for this powerful character not to be in that light. And I don't get why the writers. I don't know if they don't know how to use them, and Ralph's a better example of using them, where all you do is just kind of like stretch and he's done. But you have so many more elements to that with Plastic Man than Elongated Man, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's my biggest critique, and I don't think it goes with the writers or the artists in that fact. I just think it goes with how do we use this character when we got one right here that's more established. You know what I mean? Where I think they could actually use him in bigger, better ways, in a bigger, better books, and just kind of like, let's just make him, you know, be a towel for somebody. Like, you know what I mean? But Dan, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of my criticism is how he's underutilized. Like you said that, you know, they'll use, and there's nothing wrong with Elongated Man. He's a
No.
great character too, but it's a different type of character. Now, like if you're using, you know, if you're using him in place of Plastic Man because of his detective skills, like Gary said, you know, he's
Yep.
a good fit for that. Back when he was in like the Justice League International and the Justice, those books, he was a good fit for that because yeah, he's, you know, kind of lighthearted and easygoing, but he fit, you know, the overall, you know, group for that book. But yeah, they use him much more than Plastic Man. I mean, Plastic Man's been around for over 80 years. Plastic Man was introduced like 20 years before Elongated Man, and you know, Plastic Man has had his own cartoon. Plastic Man's had his own book, you know, a few times. Hell, they almost made a Plastic Man. I think it was James Gunn almost made a Plastic Man movie with Matthew Lillard a few years ago. So, you know, he's been right there, but he kind of fell into obscurity for a while, and then Grant Morrison, to his credit, realized the potential of the character and brought him back and put him in JLA. And then, you know, with Morrison and then with Wade, you know, he had a good couple years stretch where he was.
I saw what you did there. Stretch.
Yeah. You know, where he was a much more prominent character for a while and had like his own, you know, got another miniseries and like the Justice League special that they did with him. But yeah, after that JLA series, or even before the JLA series ended, after he left that book, he was kind of in obscurity for a while. You know, he was in when they did the Terrific series, he was part of the team there, but he wasn't really as prominent as when he was in Justice League. And then yeah, he's just kind of faded into, you know, some kind of obscurity again since then. And he's such a great character because you've got the comedic side of him, but you also got the fact that he's just so powerful. But his power set too, like for me, if I was a writer, I would love to write him because it seems like he'd be really fun with the kind of stuff that you could write for him to do. And like there almost is no limit on what you can have him do. And it's just disappointing that they choose not to use him that much. What about you, Gary?
Well, I will say this: Plastic Man is used a lot more these days than Man is. You don't even see Elongated Man. Elongated Man also predates Reed Richards, so let's keep that in mind. And then, you know, it's possible Elastic Lad Jimmy Olsen might even be predate Elongated Man. I'm not sure. That I have to look up to. But those other characters, especially Elongated Man. You know, Plastic Man, you know, he turns himself into shapes and all these other things. Elongated Man doesn't do that. He just stretches. That's it.
Right.
You know, so, you know, there's definitely a different power set there. And there's nothing that Plastic Man can do that. I mean, there's nothing Elongated Man can do that Plastic Man can't because it's just basic stretching. But the shapes, Reed Richards can do some of the shapes that Plastic Man has done, but not in the detail or the graphic nature that Plaz does. But did you find out about Elastic Lad?
Yep. Well, he Elongated Man first appeared in Flash in
112.
Yeah, but Jimmy Olsen as Elongated Lad was 1958. So yeah,
see the stuff that's in this brain? Useless information.
The Hector Hammond of comics, ladies and gentlemen.
That just seeps out. What I don't like, though, is that these Elastic heroes, we really don't tap into. You know, we dance around the issues of what their greatest power set is. And just think about this. Why the hell hasn't Sue Storm left Reed for the Fishman name or the Hot Fishman? Why was Sue Dibney so happy in their marriage? Because Elongated Man, Mr. Fantastic, Plastic, and even Elastic Lad, Jimmy Olsen, can do things that no other hero can do to please the ladies. So that is the aspect that is underutilized What was? Should this be an after dark show? I mean,
No, this is great. Keep going. Keep rolling.
Just saying. You know, that
I'm
there
loving this
there are.
episode right now. I didn't think.
I mean,
didn't think I could.
You look at his costume; it does look like something out of a '70s porno.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. But like I said, these stretchable heroes, that there's some Superman can't do that. Batman can't do that. But what they can do, they have a certain skill set that will leave no lady unpleased.
All I can think of is
Wanting for more.
right now. I have a certain set of skills.
Certain skills.
That's what I was thinking.
They have a skill set that no other hero can match. So, they're not utilizing it properly. I mean, these guys, you talk about groupies, each one of them should have groupies. But, for those that don't know why Sue wouldn't leave Reed, the big brain, for Namor, he's got more than a big brain. So there you go. There you go.
Oh my God. Okay, we're moving on.
Show
we're doing
class.
All right, let's get into the comics we love and talk about some of the top covers that we all love. And Uncle Gary, I'm gonna start with you.
Okay. Let's go with my covers. All right. So that first one there is from Plastic Man number 10, which was Quality Comics. So DC acquired all the Quality heroes, is why we have that. And that's from Plastic Man 10 from 1947. And that's by our buddy Jack Cole, who did that. Now, do y'all know what happened to Cole? What his life was like?
No.
Okay, we'll talk about that at the end when we're on screen again. Remind me to tell you about Cole. So anyway, that's Jack Cole, Plastic Man number 10, where he's the whole damn team. He's spread himself wide in his stance to cover the width of that other team. And look, the guys are coming in with baseball bats, crowbars. I think one's got a Tommy gun there. So they're coming at him. But I just think that's a great example of the of the silliness of it. And his little clown partner there, I think that's Woozy Winks. Yeah. So the second one is with the Go-Go checks is Plastic Man number 4, where DC relaunched him in the 60s. And that is Carmine Infantino and Mike Esposito. And I think that's just a great example. I'm always a sucker for the Go-Go checkbooks anyway, but it's just a great example of the ridiculous things that Plaz can do. And I like the fella in there. Let's get out of here fast, Lefty, before Big Mouth Plastic Man shows up and Lefty's driving Plastic Man. So it's just so ridiculous, so crazy. And there's an example. That's nothing that Elongated Man, Reed Richards, or Elastic Lad, could do. So just good stuff. And then the final one is when Kyle Baker took over Plastic Man series. He was just fantastic. And this was, I believe this was early 90s. And it's number 8. And I think that is just a brilliant cover concept where you're looking in the funhouse mirror and he looks like a ripped, buff dude. Not distorted at all, but the reality is Plaz has distorted himself like a funhouse mirror, and that the reflection would come back undistorted. I just think that's a brilliant concept of a cover.
No, that is definitely a good cover, and it's an awesome way to look at it too.
Yeah.
And Dan, how about yours?
All right, so on the end there, I've got Power of Shazam number 21. You got 2 classic old school characters that didn't start off at DC but ended up at DC with Captain Marvel when he was still called Captain Marvel, and Plastic Man. And I just think it's such a funny cover. The expression you see on Plastic Man's face and the expression you see of sheer frustration on Cap's face, and it's a pretty entertaining story as well. And then in the middle, I've got Gary.
And that's an Ordway. That's an Ordway cover, by the way.
Yeah. Ordway's covers for that series were just so great. And then the middle one, the Plastic Man issue 3 from the miniseries that Gary mentioned earlier that Gail Simone wrote. That's another one. I like how it's how they have the cover done so it looks like he's stretching off of the cover to you. I just, as soon as I picked Plastic Man for this, as soon as I thought of covers, that was the one that instantly jumped into my mind.
I didn't pick that one because I figured it was going to be picked, that great Alex Ross cover. So I knew it was going to get some love. So I let that one go.
And it's funny because the one you had in the middle where he turns into the bulldozer, when I was narrowing my covers down, it was between these 3 and that one. Those were the 4 covers, and it was like, oh, which one am I going to drop? And then in the end, I got the JLA Presents Plastic Man special. I just think that one's so funny. You see the big goofy look on his face as he's stretching out, and all the heroes are trying to hold him back. It's a great Ty Templeton cover, and you see Superman just absolutely terrified, like, no, don't do this, and they're all fighting him back, and he's just like, ha, I'm gonna get you.
I like how it's X'd out. It's not JLA Presents, it's JLA Resents.
Yeah. But I think like the way they have, the expressions of all the other characters trying to hold him back and that big goofy grin on his face is a perfect expression of not just him as a character, but how some of these other characters kind of feel about him too.
I saw that cover when I was looking things up, and I hit my CLZ, and that is not logged into my CLZ. I may not actually have that book, so I'm going to have to look for it.
So
I got a new search to look for. Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on to mine, and the first one I have is DC Presents Superman and the Elastic 4, number 93. I love this cover.
Nice.
How often do you see Plastic Man go up against Superman and actually holding his own, and you have the whole Elastic team with them doing the same, and Superman just can't do anything on the cover.
I can't remember who the green guy is.
That's what I was going to ask. Who's the one in green? I noticed. I recognize Plaz and Elastic or Elongated Man and Jimmy, but I don't know who the one in green is.
Yeah, me neither.
That's one I wanted to research after we were done today.
Yep.
Next up, I've got Plastic Man number 9. I just think this one's great because of the fact they're using him as a literal slingshot.
Yes.
Bomb an old lady. Like, in what other way are you going to use him? And I think that's just perfect. The way his feet and all his hands are tied up with knots, it's great.
Yeah, I love it.
Last up, we have Plastic Man number 20. And, I mean, it speaks for itself. Like, he's literally coming out of a pizza box, being held by, a beautiful lady. And it says, Plastic Man won't give us this time. We've got him cornered, and they don't. Like, when you turn into a pizza, it just works.
And Woozy's in the pizzeria eating and just stuffing his fat face. I love it.
Yeah, but again, Uncle Gary, going back, like, I believe this is the second or third time now that we've all had different covers.
Yeah,
I'm glad it worked out that way, especially with me and you, Dan, because the Ross one, I hated to leave it off, but I was fairly certain that would be used, and the fact that by leaving it off, I put in the steam, or the bulldozer cover, and that's one that you barely left off. So that's kind of funny. It worked out for the right way.
Yeah, it did. Like I said, that one I had them on my phone for like 3 or 4 days, and I would just keep looking at them, and I was like, I don't know which one. Like I said, the Alex Ross one, I knew that had to be one because that was the first one that popped into my head because I was I even have it here because I was reading that series. I was reading that series when it was coming out, so that was the first one I thought of. But yeah, man, that bulldozer one is really sweet too.
Well, and I had to give love too to Cole and his original one. That's why I used that football one, because he's the one that set the template and set the tone for this character that still exists, you know?
Yeah, the funny thing is that I wanted to use the Ross photo, but I ended up using the Ross one for a thumbnail. So I was like, do I use it as thumbnail and post it, or do I just use it?
I think the
So,
thumbnail is a good choice. Thumbnail is a good choice.
Like I said, the thing that stands out to me about that is like, all right, you know, it's cool. It's got this like smoky background. The thing that really drives it home is the way that they had like the letterboxing on it. So it looks like he's actually stretching out off of the cover. That's what pushed it forward.
yeah.
Gary, you said you were going to tell us about Cole's life. I know, you know, I don't know about the whole life. I know that, you know, he worked for Playboy for a while too, and that he had a unpleasant end.
Yeah, well, that's basically what it was, and at a fairly young age too.
Yeah.
I believe he was in his 30s. So he created Plastic Man, and he had worked in the comic industry, and then he had started working for Hugh Hefner, that he regarded him as a bit of a mentor. And then he and his wife had a dust up, and he got a gun, wrote a couple notes, and blew his brains out. So he was in his 30s when that happened, and he left notes. He left a note for his wife that was never. I think the police official that got it said it was so personal that he would not reveal what was in the note. And he also left a note for Hugh Hefner too, which said, "Hef, this." I think it said, "Hef, this has got nothing to do with you. Life just got in the way," you know, that kind of thing. But it was just a tragic end to a fella. And like I said, I believe he was in his 30s when he killed himself. But it was like, damn, when I was researching it, I didn't realize that was how Cole had ended. You know, I mean, I'd always known and revered the name because he created this character, and because those early covers were, you know, so fun and whimsical. But I had, you know, and isn't it funny that a lot of times our comedians, and he is a comedian, right? I mean, I got to give him credit for being a bit of a comedian, to have, you know, this is how he expressed his creativity, was through comedic drawings. But gosh, how many times do we see that these great comedians are some of the most tortured individuals and souls that we have, you know, that entertain us? So just another tragic end to this fella. So.
And the fact too that like still to this day, nobody really knows why, because like you said, the police didn't enter the note to his wife into evidence, and she's never revealed why. She just said we had a fight the night before, but she hasn't really said what's in the note. And the one to Hefner was printed in some book about, it was either about Hefner or Cole. It's printed in some book about one of them, but like you said, it basically just says like, when you read this, I'll be gone. I just can't live with a life anymore, or whatever it was. And you know, it's like, so something had like, and they said that even though he wasn't involved in all the Playboy stuff, he was just a cartoonist for it. Like that he was at the Playboy Mansion the night before at some party, like drinking a lot. So like something happened that day before.
He was, I think it was 58 when he, I think it was 1958 when he killed himself. Playboy was just really starting its ascent too, because the 60s and early 70s were definitely the heyday, I think, of Playboy. There's no telling how big a name he would have been if he had kept publishing work in that magazine, because this was still in the early days of the magazine that he was doing this, and had notoriety. And he also had a comic strip. He also was doing a comic strip. And in those days, that was the gold standard for a cartoonist to get a syndicated strip. Yeah. He also had a comic strip that he had just started. So this guy, we could be talking about him as one of the greatest cartoonists ever. But we'll never know. We'll never know. No. Yeah. So just, tragic ending to a, an interesting life for sure.
But on a lighter note, we do love these covers, and there is a place where you can go pick up these covers that we all frequently shop at, and that is Heroes Corner Comics. Guys, if you get a chance to go check out the website, and you go to checkout, use the keyword CODEX, CODEX at checkout, save yourself 20%. They're great. We're all good friends with them. They have some great covers. They have a lot of alternative and variants. They have bundles. They have a Codex bundle where it's 3 Heroes Corner Comics exclusives, and you can use the keyword on there to save yourself 20% on that as well. can't say any more great about him. Sale's done many unboxings. Go check out, his channel for that. But everything comes packaged quick and nice. So guys, go definitely check them out.
Sal just has, how people have child support deducted from their from all their paychecks. Sal just has the Heroes Corner comics deducted automatically. He just has a portion, a quarter of it deducted every check and just sent right to Louis.
Yeah,
well, that's good. Cuts out the middleman.
Yeah, if you see some of the boxes, ladies and gentlemen, the Sale sends us from them, it's literally like you'd think he's getting replica statues that are 4 feet tall.
Oh yeah, when I go to the comic shop with him every week, I'm like, "Oh, did you see this one?" He's like, "I got that coming from my Heroes Corner comics." And it's funny because he'll buy a book off the shelf, and he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "I got a couple copies of this coming to me from Heroes Corner too." I'm like, "Why are you buying it now?"
Yeah,
like he wants to tell you that he's got there's 8 covers for this. He's bought all 8 covers.
Yes, definitely.
Venom. He bought them all.
Our guy.
All day, every day for him and Venom. But, we love these covers. We also love what's inside these covers. And we're going to talk about some of our recommended and essential readings. And I will kick that one off for us today, with 2 of them being interactions that I think were necessary with Plastic Man. And that's the first one from JLA 65 with his interaction with Batman, and seeing that silly side but more stoic side of Plastic Man. And the same thing goes for Power Shazam number 21. And I picked these 2 because you see both sides of Plastic Man, as this quirky kind of nutcase hero to what he can truly unlock as his potential. I'm not going to go too much more in depth on those. Definitely check them out. I suggest them 100%. And then for my other one, I have Meet the Terrifics, which is the Terrifics 1 through 3, which is the first story arc in that one. To me, and you could take it with a grain of salt on this one, but in this book, it's almost it's basically a knockoff of the Fantastic Four to me. And he is the Johnny Storm of this team. And just the way he is, the way he looks, the way he presents himself, this is true Plastic Man form for me. All 3 of these, I think, are great ways to get into it, the character, if you're definitely starting off.
And JLA 65, that's the one with him and Batman and his son, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes. I don't want to go too much in detail. I like giving people, the viewers, a chance to look them up and decide on their own if they want to see them or not. I give as much information as I possibly can. But Dan, what about you?
So I'll start off with Plastic Man 80-page giant. It's something that was published by DC, and it just reprints a lot of his earlier stories. So it's a good it's a good introduction to the character, because you get, his first appearance was in Police Comics, but there were so many, like a lot of comics back then, there were so many different characters in that he doesn't get the whole issue. He only gets, a few pages of it. So you get, to see his first appearance and origin as it was originally presented. You get another story that's like the introduction of his sidekick Woozy, and you get a few other key stories from out his early history that are all reprinted there. So it's a great place to see a lot of that early stuff. The second one I got is the Treasure Hunt Caper. It's from Superman, the second volume of Superman, issue 110, and it's just a lot of fun. It's these two rich people, a brother and sister, that essentially are trying to trick Superman and trick Plastic Man and get them involved in these ridiculous kind of hijinks. And you get some great interaction between Superman, Plastic Man, and like Jamie said, I don't want to give everything away from it, but I'm pretty sure it was Jerry Ordway that wrote it, and you can tell how much, all the creators involved, how much they like Plastic Man by the way that they handled him in this book. And then Jamie had the first 3 issues of Terrifics. I just put the whole series on here. Just read the Terrifics. It's 30 issues, so it's not overly long. It was canceled. Like you said, it was basically DC's kind of knockoff Fantastic Four, but it didn't try and hide the fact that it was that either. But it was an interesting group of characters that were put together. Plastic Man really shined in it. It had a lot of stuff with his son in it too, and him kind of raising his son in there. So that was interesting. And the interactions between him and Metamorpho were really funny too. Like you said, it was, and it was clear when it came out that it was, DC's answer to Fantastic Four. And that was clearly their answer to the relationship between the Thing and Human Torch, was him and Metamorpho. But it was really just fantastic. So, like I said, I'd check out the whole series.
Definitely do that. I mean, it was a great series to me throughout.
Canceled too soon.
Very, like most good series.
Yeah.
Uncle Gary.
All right, guys. Well, you know me, I'm going to take this back a little old school. So, let me start. We'll start in the middle one there. So I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to go in recent to the oldest. Plastic Man Volume 4, 1 through 6 is this great Gail Simone miniseries. It was fun. Dan's evidently has read it too. It's fun. The art is great, but it's written by Gail Simone, and Adriano Mello did the pencils, and Kelly Fitzpatrick did the inking. It's just a fun series, full of personality, full of humor, full of charm. So I recommend that. And it's a fairly recent book within the past, I don't know, 6-7 years. So yeah. Plastic Man Volume 4, number 1 through 6. So then we're going to go to Plastic Man Volume 3, 1 through 20. This is the entire run of the great Kyle Baker run. Kyle Baker's art here and his storytelling really taps into the spirit of what Jack Cole created with this character. And it's like we saw the Funhouse mirror cover. That's the type of thing you see. Just visual brilliance with the sight gags that Baker has. And it's just fantastic. Plays right into what I think the charm of this character is. So the Kyle Baker volumes, they've been collected in several different formats. One format that collects the early issues, it's done with a cover that's very rubbery and stretchy, like it's Plastic Man himself. And you see the symbol, the diamond symbol, and the yellow and a black belt goes across it. So it's like it's Plastic Man has stretched over the book as a cover jacket. So that's a pretty neat volume too. And then I got to go back to the original, the Plastic Man Archives. It collects Police Comics. Volume 1, I think, collects Police Comics 1 through 20, the Plastic Man stories. Like Dan says, he was in Police Comics number 1, but he probably had an 8 to 10 page story. Is usually usually all the features had an 8-page story back in the Golden Age like that. This is the same thing that happened in Detective Comics and in Action Comics, and that's why when Batman got his own title, Superman got his own title, the whole book was about those characters. But before then, when you'd buy Action Comics, you'd get one Superman story, and then you get all the other features that were in it, like Zatara, and things like that. And then, of course, Batman, Detective would have Slam Bradley and all these other detective stories in there. So, the archives will collect like the first 20 Plastic Man stories. And just another side note on Police Comics, Dan already mentioned the other characters that were in Police Comics 1. Police Comics is also the same book where the Spirit made his first comic appearance. Will Eisner's great character. So, Police Comics is a very important book in comic history. But the Plastic Man Archives was published by DC, part of their archive set. They had, when they bought that character when they bought the quality characters, they have the right to print those early stories. So if you want to see, and I believe there's 4 or 5 volumes where they collect all the Golden Age Plastic Man ones, but at least start out with getting the Plastic Man Archives. It's an older book. You'll have to go to secondary market to get it. But if you're a fan of the character and you want to see it as Jack Cole wrote it and Jack Cole drew it, my best recommendation is to go see the originals, baby.
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
Well, definitely great picks. Again, all the way around. Some great recommended readings for Plastic Man, I gotta say, all together. But lastly, getting into it, there's a lot of work that gets put in these issues, these comics, these things we love. And it wouldn't be what we love without the writer and artist. I think I put those two words together. So we're going to talk about our favorite writer and artist combo. And to kick that one off, let's start with Dan.
All right. I had a trouble picking the writer because when they made him a prominent or somewhat prominent member of JLA, like there were a few writers that really handled him well, but ultimately I had to pick Jeff Lemire for the work that he did on him with the Terrifics, because as good as he was in Justice League, there were just so many characters that he'd never, even when he got the spotlight, it wasn't as often. Whereas the Terrifics, he was one of four, and got the spotlight a lot more. So I like the way he handled him, and with the comedic aspects, and then like I said before, with him, trying to raise his son too. So that's why I had to pick him. And then for artists, I kind of had to have a tie between Howard Porter and Doug Mank because of how they drew him in JLA. I guess I might give a slight edge to Porter because he drew him first, and I really liked how he drew him. How it was, they would, in the serious superhero book, you would still have the goofiness with Plastic Man, but he would draw him where he almost had this like I don't really know how you describe this, like sheen, or like, drew him like he was like a shiny plastic.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool with the way he did the character.
Definitely. Uncle Gary, who you got?
All right. For my writer, a lot of the more modern stories that have used him well, there's just been so many different writers. I love what Simone did. I love what Morrison did in JLA. But also what Wade did in JLA with him. So there's so many great iterations of them where I couldn't pin one down then. So I decided I would go with the originator, and I would go with Jack Cole. Give him some love because he created this character. He wrote his stories and he illustrated his stories in Police Comics, and that set the tone for who this character is. So, I decided that I wanted to shine a light on Cole, and he is my writer. Now, as the artist, this was really tough not to pick Cole on this also, but as evidenced by that sight gag on the Kyle Baker Funhouse mirror issue, Kyle Baker gets it as far as what Cole originally created this character to do, and the sight gags were sublime. This 20-issue series, written and drawn by Kyle Baker, won numerous awards in the comic industry, and it was just, it was comic as a cartoon, which is what Plaza's. Dan said it earlier. He's a cartoon character in a comic book.
Yeah,
he's just a cartoon, and I don't know that anybody did that with that character better than Kyle Baker did. So Baker is my artist.
Nice. Good. Definitely good picks. For my writer, I'm going to go with the guy that really gave the potential in Elseworld stories for him. And I got to go with Tom Taylor. Like, I feel like he really unlocked what potential Plastic Man had, whether it was Deceased or Injustice or whatever it may be. I think he hit it on the head on that one. And as for my artist, I went with the last series artist, which was Adriana Mello. I think captured Plastic Man perfectly throughout the whole thing. So those would be my two.
Interesting that we all did different on this too.
Yeah.
My Plastic Man book's got scribbles in it. Gail Simone.
Oh, nice.
Oh man, they decreased the value.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll decrease that value. And even worse, had it personalized. That decreased it even more. So
I think we should change your nickname from Uncle Gary to Scribbles.
Yeah.
Scribbles. I like
So
it.
everything you
Scribbly.
got, it's all got scribbles on it.
You got scribbles on
I
a
just
lot.
want that scribble from Jeff Johns. That's all I want.
Oh yeah, we got a couple of those. Yeah, I know, that's pretty cool. It was an honor meeting him. He was really nice. You know, nice interaction. Nice interaction. He just wasn't rushing you through. So it was well worth spending the shoot. What was it? I think it was. God, it might have been $100, but you got 5 things signed by him, and you got a flashpoint print that he signed, and you got a little edition of Geiger that he signed, plus the books you brought. So
It ain't bad. It's $20 a sign.
Yeah, so it was worth it.
No, but guys, I think that wraps it up for today's episode. I think this is the first episode where everyone had something different on all occasions.
Yeah, I think there was a tiny bit of overlap on the recommended reading, but the writer and artist were all different. The covers were all different.
Yeah, I think that was really, really a first. And I didn't go with the whole series for Turbo because I just went through 1 through 3. So,
well, we give people options, right?
Yeah,
and it's good that we're not cookie cutter.
And it's really disappointing to me too, not just that series ended because I really enjoyed it, but the way that they ended it, where like the last couple issues, they're like, we're not even going to print them. Like, we're just going to stick them online if you want to read them. Like, come on.
Right. But as always, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I am Jamie J Dub. With me, as always, is the guy that does things on Instagram for Instagram likes and shares and subscribes, and he draws things for people when he gets people on Instagram. Dan, where can they find you on Instagram?
They can find me at Dan Kelly Art. So, like I said, I'm close to 800. So go give me a follow and drop some comments and let me know what you think of what I'm posting and what else you'd like to see. I'm always open to ideas and stuff to draw or songs to sing.
Right. And Uncle Gary, the Ric Flair of comics in the comic library. Tell everyone where you can find you.
Before I do that, I want to echo, Dan. Buy Smart from Dan. I've got Dan's work in my library. I think you'd like to have it in your library too. And once we get Dan to 800, our new program is going to be 1K for DK. So let's get to 800 first.
These promos, man. Whew.
And what he's going to mention, some of my art is at this place for sale.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, Comic Logic. That's right. He's got artwork there for sale. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. I am a proud co-owner of Comic Logic. Please come see us. You can catch me there every Wednesday, getting my comic fill. That builds big muscles when you get your new comics. You lift your stack, you inject the ink in your blood, and you let it pulsate in your brain when you read these things. Get these new comics. So come see us. We would love to have you. We do a Facebook Live show out of Comic Logic every the first 3 Thursdays of every month. First one's our preview show, and then our second and third Thursday we do our Ye Grumpy Old Nerd show, where me and Rob Kalin, our principal owner, and my best friend Mike Harbor, we sit around and we talk about comics, we talk about sports, talk about movies, we talk about events coming up for us, we talk about a lot of old man stuff. So you'd like it. These fellows have all participated in it, so we'd love to see you in that chat. And then we all are part of the Comic Character of the Day site, founded by our good buddy Archduke Kevy, and he's the reason that we all even know each other. He was, he set the foundation with that site, and I post covers every day under the name Opie Taylor, random panel of the day, and a question of the day. And Jamie is always watching. He's always watching to see that we are doing a great job, and that we are keeping the production top notch for you. Now, he would know about keeping productions top notch because he is the founder. He is the originator. He is the man with the vision that set forth and saw this channel that could be on the airwaves, that could give us all so much knowledge, gratification. This is his brainchild, the one, the only, the man, J-Dub.
You always go from Ric Flair to Ultimate Warrior for me for some reason. It's amazing. I love it every time. I'm just waiting for you to start shaking ropes. But guys, definitely thank you. Obviously, like we said earlier, sale is out right now for his birthday and his wife's birthday as well. So happy birthday to them one more time, and check them out at Sales Comic Corner on YouTube for unboxings and slab festivities. And check him out on the Slab Guy 77 on Instagram. But y'all know what I'm about to say, guys. Go check out the CodexStation.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything Codex. Get some merch, meet the team. Let us know what you like, don't like. Go find all of our socials on there so you don't miss out on any of the content that we're putting out for you, because it is a lot. And it gives you no reason not to subscribe, like, and share. So go ahead. Go do that. And
I just want to say hi to Sapphire Glade for watching the episode. Sorry we didn't get to. I saw put some comments in, but we didn't get the chance to jump to him. So
yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for watching, brother.
Yeah, but also check us out at the Codex Station on all of the socials. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, we will see you in the next one.